What is going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I want to talk about Joe Douglas's appearance on Chris Long's podcast. Really good interview. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check that out. But there was something, and they hit on it pretty early in this episode. There was one thing that stood out more than the rest to me. Immediately on the show, Joe Douglas goes to bat for his offensive line, saying that it's against the media's narrative, but he likes how the offensive line is coming along.
I really like how we're developing as an offensive line. As much as that goes against the media narrative, we're getting healthy at the right time. It's good to get big Dwayne back in the fold, get him rolling. You know, Makai's been having an unbelievable preseason. So that's been great seeing that group come together throughout training camp. Because as you know, like these guys are going against one of the best D lines in football every single day. So it's a little bit of a trial by fire, but it's good to see them develop as camp has gone on.
I also like how he says trial by fire because they're going up against one of the best defensive lines in football, arguably the best. I think Jets, Eagles, 49ers, those are the three teams that are head and shoulders above the rest when looking at the defensive line. And to an extent, I think he is right. I mean, one, the Jets are getting healthy at the right time with Dwayne Brown coming back. He was not involved for a majority of training camp. He came back just a couple of weeks ago. He did not play in any of the preseason games, but at this point in Dwayne Brown's career, how much training camp and how much preseason action does he really need? We'll see, I guess, chemistry-wise, how quick that'll come together with the rest of the offensive line. But Dwayne Brown, getting him back at left tackle and not having, either Billy Turner or Max Mitchell out there is a significant upgrade, which is going to make the offensive line look better overall as a unit. And then he talked about Mekhi Becton and how he's looked at right tackle. I think Mekhi has had a stellar training camp, better than most and even myself expected. And I thought, I'd penciled him in as the starting right tackle, but it didn't seem like it was going to go that way for the first few weeks of training camp. He was starting at left tackle exclusively on the left side of the offensive line. And by starting, I mean, that's where he initially was before moving over to right tackle. He ran pretty much exclusively with the twos. Then he switches over to right tackle, got some reps during the practice week, and then played right tackle against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the preseason. He was elevated to the first team offense and then ended up starting as the right tackle against the New York Giants and is going into the season as the starting right tackle. Deservedly so, by the way. He absolutely earned it. And again, a healthy Mekhi Becton, you absolutely take over pretty much any other option that was there, whether it was Billy Turner or Max Mitchell. Now, the one thing of concern for me is I think if this offensive line stays healthy, I don't think there's going to be an issue there. From Brown to Becton, you have AVT and Laken Tomlinson as the guards. That's pretty steady. Connor McGovern to start the year. Eventually, I think Joe Tippmann comes in. Like, this offensive line, in theory, could be fine, but the tackles scare you if there's injury. And with Dwayne Brown at his age, a little bit scary. Mekhi Becton missed 2 straight years because of health and injury, a little bit scary. Again, if they're all healthy and this is the starting 5, you get this through the whole season, or maybe you just swap out Joe Tippmann at center at one point. Like, if that's it, then I think again you're in pretty good shape, and this line could look very good. If they have to go to Billy Turner, Max Mitchell, I guess I feel a little bit more comfortable in Max Mitchell than I do Billy. Just maybe that's recency biased on training camp, but I get a little bit of the concern, and that was always my biggest criticism so far of Joe Douglas's tenure, is that I think I would have thought the offensive line would be further along, and it's very make or break for this team for the 2023 season. And that's not to say that other teams don't have similar issues. Like we pointed it out earlier in the week, or I guess at the end of last week, if we're getting technical, in the video about a Jets narrative that doesn't make sense to me, is how, we could talk, or, pundits talk about the Jets offensive line and how it's an issue. And issue might be a little bit of a stretch. There's some depth concerns. I think that's maybe a safer way of saying it, but teams like the Buffalo Bills, I feel like you don't really get that nearly as much. That narrative, or any of the other teams in the division, you don't get that narrative as much. And again, I think overall the offensive line will end up being okay. I think it'll be fine. I don't know if it's going to be an elite unit this year, but I think it could be the average unit. And with how good they are in other areas, I think if you have an average offensive line, the Jets should be able to get by. But Joe Douglas doesn't buy it. He is in on this team's offensive line getting healthy at the right time. Hopefully they stay healthy, because man, last year with the number of injuries that this team faced at the offensive line position is just absolutely insane. I don't think it'll be that crazy where you're on your fifth offensive tackle, but man, that was nuts. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with Joe Douglas? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I will catch you next time.